So today we are going to be learning typography. At the end of the class, you should know the definition of typography, the difference between font and typeface, the principles of typography, techniques in typography, parts of a div or part of a font, and rules for font combination. So let's just get right into it. So typography design is the art of arranging a message in a readable and aesthetically pleasing composition. You can say is the use of letters, symbols to create meaning to the consumer or the reader or user of the design. Now, typography is the head, and we have the font and the typeface. Please turn off your microphone. Okay. Now, a font is very different from a typeface. There are two different things. A font is a set of glyphs of unified design belonging to one typeface, while a typeface is a font family, is a visual design of letter forms, and it consists of multiple font formats. It could be bold, italic, narrow italic, regular, light, semi-bold, whichever. So for typeface, we have various type of typefaces, but for the purpose of this class, I picked out four, which are. Please turn off your microphone. Oh, first thing, please turn off your microphone. So for font and typeface, I picked out four different typeface we have. These are commonly used. So I picked out the four of them, but there are more. So the first, we have serif. This is a style that is characterized by smooth and rounded forms and slight weight variations. Example, we have the Times New Roman and the Garamond. There are other examples of serif, but these are very common examples of serif. We have sans serif, which is also a variation of the serif, but it has a slight weight variation too, and it gives an overall warm vibe. It's very soothing and a sort of calligraphic influence. For example, we have the Futura and the Open Sans. You can Google these fonts to see what they look like. Then we have the scripts. The script typeface letters that imitate handwritten styles or calligraphic styles. You can call it like a handwriting typeface. It can be either sleek, formal, or messy, depends. So example, we have Freebooter script. I love the script font particularly. I love to use it when I'm designing things like wedding card or certificate, someone's name on a certificate. I love to use the script. Then we have the brush fonts. This typeface is also close to scripts, but their form, it's like a paint. When you use a paintbrush to letter or to do your lettering, for instance, it makes them bolder and less elegant. I don't really like the brush. I don't really use it to design, but it's up to you. Example, we have the Georgia brush and the Brox fonts. So in essence, fonts, typeface is like the external family and font is the nuclear family. I don't know if that makes sense. Are we following? If you're following, please react.
Yes, ma, we are.
Okay, so before I go into
Yeah, we are following.
into the principles, do we have any questions? Do we have any questions?
None, ma. Go on.
Okay, so let's go. The principles of typography, you have size, width, form, structure, texture, color, direction. This direction can also be called alignment. If you've studied some designs carefully, you notice that the typography alignment, some are aligned to the left, some are aligned to the right, and some are aligned to the center. That's the direction. Then color, of course, you understand color. Texture, you can either add, I think for Adobe Illustrator, we have options for texture like grain. You can add like a grain texture to your designs to make it stand out and make it beautiful. Structure, form, weight. For weights, that's how, let's say how thin or thick your font is. Either bold, light, regular, narrow, bold, italic, and all of that. And of course, font size. Font size is measured in PT. PT, yeah. So let's look at this image. This is where we are going to really center on. This is the part of a font. Let me just put that way, part of a font. We have the cap height, the baseline, the stem, the sender, the bow, the counter, link. We have serif, bracket, terminal, ascender, air, and all of that. Before I go on, does anyone have any idea what any of the part of the fonts mean? Joseph, do you have an idea?
Please, can you actually repeat the question? I can't hear you.
Okay, I said the screen now is showing the parts of a font.
Okay, okay.
Do you have an idea what any of them mean?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, can we know? Can you let us know?
If I'm not mistaken, I would let me start with the T actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually has an uppercase character, and it is let us say the T is in a capital letter, while the rest is actually they're in small letter actually.
Okay.
And they are and the alignment also is kind of accurate.
Okay. God's favor. God's favor. Hello, good evening. God's favor. Do you have an idea?
Good evening.
Do you have an idea what any of this terminologies here mean?
No, I don't. They are all looking strange.
Hallelujah. Okay.
They are looking strange.
Okay, so so what's going to happen is that I won't define all. After the class, you go and do your research and get the meaning of all, but I'll just do the basic. So let's start with X height. This X height here. So X height means the height of a lowercase, while the cap height means the height of an uppercase. Are we following?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so you understand X height and cap height. So for baseline, the baseline is the line upon which most letters sit and below which the descendants extend.
Turn off your mic now.
Please turn off your microphone.
I'm so sorry. So, sorry, I did not say anything. No, true or false?
So the baseline, as I was saying, is the line upon which most letters sit and below which the senders extend. If you take a closer look at the image, you can see that all the letters from TYPO, they are sitting on a particular thin line. Now this line is called the baseline. Then we have the terminal. The terminal is any stroke which does not terminate in a serif. So now this is terminal. This is like a serif font. I think this should be Times New Roman also. And here you have your terminal. Are we following? Please react.
When she said,
Yes. All right then.
Okay. So serif, like I said before, serif fonts are a typeface that have serifs, which means they have an extra stroke on the ends of their letter forms. Serif. Then the bold. This right here, the bold. So a counter is the area of a letter that is entirely or partially enclosed by a letter form or a symbol. So that stroke that creates such space, this stroke here, I don't know if you can see the cursor. This stroke right here, this hole in between, this is called the bowl. Do we have any questions?
No, ma'am.
So we all understand.
Actually, no, I
Okay.
don't. This I'm seeing bow and counter here. I want to get the differences again, please.
Okay, so now the counter is the area of a letter that is entirely or partially closed by a letter form or symbol. This this inner stroke here now that creates this hole in the letter O. Are you following God's favor?
Yes.
Now this stroke
Yes,
is
ma'am.
this letter O that creates this space. The stroke itself is called the count. Is it the counter? No, sorry, this area that is created by this stroke is called the counter. Are you following?
Yes.
Then the
Yes.
stroke itself that forms this
It's called
area
the
is
bow.
called the bow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other question? No question. So after the class, take out time to check out and research the remaining terminologies: the crossbar, the stem, the leg, the descender line, the vertical bar. So just take out time to learn that. We have very limited time. That's why I'm trying to rush the class. So rules for font combination. This is a very important aspect in graphic design. I see some design, wow. Then I see someone, I'm like, oh my God, how do you have more than 6 fonts on a particular design? You're just making your work confusing. Your audience cannot follow, your audience cannot process your design. So the first rule for any font combination or font choice to choose a font for your design is your font must be legible. That means it should be clear and readable with ease. You cannot be designing for a church program and you are using a script font to design the heading. Okay, let me show you what a script font is. Let's come here. So now let's imagine we're having come and see this year, come and see 2022, and our theme for the come and see for this year, let's say God's power, and God's power is in a serif font. Does it make sense to you?
No.
Okay, that's good. So mostly script fonts like this are used for invitation cards, wedding cards, or if you want to use it to look like anything decorative, you go for scripts. But let's say if it was in a font like Arial or Times New Roman or Lemon Milk, that makes perfect sense. So the second rule, each and every font character should be easily recognizable, regardless of whether it is presented in caps, lowercase letters, italics, or bold. What this means is that as much as you try to manipulate your fonts, your user should be able to, or your consumers should be able to understand what you are trying to communicate. They should not look at your font or your design and be wondering, oh, is that an A or is that an E? Are we following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So the third one is know your target audience. It matters a great deal. So let's say, for instance, you are given a task to design for an old people's home. Now, most old people have challenges with their eye. So you won't use a font that would not be easy for them to read or understand what they are looking at. Then the fourth one is keep an open mind and always opt for the font with the most visual appeal. Personally, I've come across some designs and at the first sight of your font choice, I just become discouraged and I don't even go through the rest details and I just swipe left. So your font should be visually appealing to your consumers. Then 5, there are a million fonts out there. So many fonts, but always stick to familiar font types. Stick to the fonts that you are used to, stick to the fonts that you've worked with, stick to the fonts that you understand. But if you want to explore, I think there are sites you could actually go and look for font combinations and get what you want to do. Also, if you want to download fonts, you can get free fonts at DaFonts. Yeah, they have very amazing fonts there and they are free. Then the third one, do not use more than 3 fonts in a design. Please, it's very confusing when I look at your design. Your heading is in Times New Roman, your subheading is in Arial, your content is in Lemon Milk, then your dates, your information, your contact information is in Dancing Script. It's giving like a confused kind of vibe. So if you want, like we spoke in the first class, Introduction to Graphic Design, your designs have to have, the elements of your design have to be unified. That includes font, color. Not all fonts work with all colors. Not all colors work with all fonts. So there has to be unity in your design. If you are still here, please react if you understand.
Yes, I understand.
Are we following? Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ma.
I
I just
understand.
joined.
Oh, you just joined. Oh, sorry about that. I think you can catch up on YouTube after now. So we have 5 minutes left for this class, and I want to know any questions, anything confusing, anything that you're not clear on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm not actually clear concerning that bow and bow and counter.
Sorry, I
don't
can't
know
hear
if
you.
can just throw more light on that.
I can't hear you.
Bow and counter. Can you hear me now?
No. Come again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I said I'm not clear on that bow and counter.
Okay, bowl and counter. Okay, let's go back.
Yeah.
Okay, please, to understand very well, take a good look. Take a look at the image we have here. So now, as I said before, counter is the area formed counter is the area of a letter that is entirely or partially enclosed by a letter, form, or a symbol. So taking letter O now for an example, this area in the middle of letter O is an enclosed area. This middle area now you are seeing is what is called the counter. Good evening, please turn off your microphone.
Who be that person?
Okay, so sorry, who asked the question?
Triple justice.
Okay, so do you understand the counter now?
Okay, yes. So does it mean that in the P, you also have a counter there too?
In the P,
Yes, since you said
yes,
it's
you
more or less like
do.
the center.
Yes, you do.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Then this area now that joins
Okay.
to this is the bowl.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
Any other questions? We have 3 minutes more. Any other questions?
Um,
I'm waiting for your questions. Any other questions?
yes, I'm very sorry for joining very late.
Okay.
Yes. Please, I don't know if there's any way I could just, even if it's this one, let me just understand what this typographic parts of a glip is all about.
Okay, so basically what we have here, we are talking about the parts of a font. And everything you see here are the different parts of a font, but I didn't explain all. I explained few so that you could go back and research the rest. You can research the rest and get your own understanding of it. So let's start with the,
Okay.
are you following? Sorry.
Yes, I'm following.
Okay, so let's start with the X height. This X height here. The X height is the height of a lowercase.
Okay.
Then the cap height is the height of an uppercase.
Okay.
Then the baseline, which is this thin line you can see here, just follow the cursor. Most letters sit on. Can you see the line?
Yes, I can see the line.
Then the terminal is any stroke which does not terminate in a serif. This extra curve you can see here, you should have it in your R, you have it in your Y. That's called the terminal. Then your, okay, did you listen to the bowl and counter?
No, I didn't listen. No.
Okay, so the counter is any area of a letter that is either entirely or partially enclosed by a letter form or a symbol. So you can see O is completely enclosed. This area in between, that's called the counter. And this joining area now that joins it together, this is called the bowl.
Okay, the area that is joined together, that's the space in between P and O.
No. This space in between O is called the counter. Remember that it's an area that can be entirely or partially closed. In the case of O, it is entirely closed.
Okay.
Yes. But now this stroke that joins it together, that makes it O, that stroke is called the bowl.
Okay.
So any other questions? Do we have any other questions? No questions. So I assume we understand. Do we understand? If you understand, please react.
Yeah,
I-
I get
I-
it. I understand.
Okay. So let me ask a quick one. A quick one. So who's going to answer this question for us now? Just a very quick one. Chuku Justice. Chuku Justice.
Yes, ma. Yes, ma.
What is the difference between a font and a typeface?
Actually, I joined this class late, so I didn't really get the full.
Oh, okay. So let's just
Yes.
back it up a bit. Okay. A font is a set of glyphs of unified design belonging to one typeface. And a typeface in its own is like a font family. It is the visual design of the later forms, and it consists of multiple font formats. Like I said before, you can see a typeface like an extended family, then the font, the nuclear family, or the typeface as the mother and father, then the font, the children. Justice, do you understand?
Okay.
Yes, I get it now.
Okay. So any more questions? God's favor, do you follow? God's favor.
I can hear you.
Do you follow?
Yeah, I do.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, so thank you for being part of the class. I think we'll end there for today. Until next time.
Okay, please. Can I get the recorded link for this class?
Yes, it will be available on YouTube.
Okay, ma, please, I would like to get the link for the previous one, the 1 by 4. I missed the class.
Okay, everything will be available on YouTube.